Now I don't believe I can go hungry. I don't believe I can go hungry, because I've learned so many skills that without Ignytwealth, without a business right now, I can guarantee you I'll wake up tomorrow, I'll make 500. Today, how much are you worth? What do you have? If you were to die today, if you were to be liquidated today, is there something that will be left, right? That is what we are looking at. It doesn't really matter how much money you are earning. If you are earning 1,000 pula, putting aside 100 pula, you are building your balance sheet. Somebody who's earning 10,000 pula more than you and not saving anything, they're not growing a balance sheet. And with a balance sheet, it's a thing of time. With time, we are going to know the truth. But when you have to increase your income, you might not need to cut any costs, so you don't adjust your life. It's just maybe working a bit harder. And I think a lot of Botswana, they actually are comfortable doing that. Why am I saying that? When you look at an average person in Botswana, they prefer so that they get promoted, they get a bonus. And so you see,
Mr. Seatla Ratshosa. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank you so much.
About, what is it? A year and some months, eh?
Yep.
A year, What is up, everybody? Welcome to Deep Dive Sessions. My name is Mphomo Taura. Thank you for stopping by. Today, we have a special guest in the building, a man in the works, in the fields of finance, the MD of Ignytwealth, MD of Masheleng, Mr. Seatla Ratshosa. Welcome to the show, my brother.
Thank you so much.
About, what is it? A year and some months, eh?
Yep.
A year, some change. We're here. We're talking about wealth creation. And I'm still back at it again, talking about wealth creation. So I'm very excited about today's conversation. And I must give you props also for the beautiful work that you are doing online, offline. Hey, you're really pushing, eh? I'm just like, hey. So you're doing very well. So congratulations on all your endeavors. Today I wanted to start our conversation with, so I was studying this, I saw this statistic, in terms of financial literacy.
Yeah.
I don't know if you said it and then I went to research it or the other way around or however. And so I read this article. It said Botswana is actually number one in terms of being the most financially literate country in Africa. And I was like, whoa. Because I'm also thinking about all the consumer debt that we have, and so I'm kind of curious. I'm a little baffled also because we are financially literate, but the other side is not working. Yeah. So maybe you're in this world and you know more about it. So walk us through that.
Yeah.
What is your understanding of that?
Yeah, it's a very tricky one, that one. We are not only number one in Africa, but when you compare us the world over, we are also doing quite well. I think we should be in top 5, somewhere there. If you compare us with developed countries, I think we match France when it comes to financial literacy.
France.
Yeah, so you would expect that for a country that has such a high level of financial literacy, we should be, living well, having estates that stretch from, fairgrounds to Pakalani, but we don't have such. So there's a huge difference between financial literacy and financial management, right? Our problem is not the literacy. We know about finance. We know about, because when they gauge financial literacy, they're talking about, does the average person understand what an ATM card does?
Oh, right.
Do they know online banking? Do they know how to swipe? Do they know where to save money? Do they know where to borrow money, right? An average person in Botswana...
the basics of finance.
Basics, right? An average person in Botswana knows all of these things. If you go to the streets and ask people questions, where can you borrow money? They'll say, banks, you can do micro lenders, you can do this. Where can you save money? You can save there, you can save there. An average person knows these things. So when you gauge, and the reason why a country like Botswana has such a high level of financial literacy is because of the high level of general literacy education. Botswana ke batho ba batseng in school.
Yeah.
They went to school because government has invested a lot in education. So an average person has done at least standard 7. They know how to read and write.
It's 99% enrollment.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So nowadays with the mobile networks also coming on board when it comes to financial inclusion, you see a lot of people have cell phones. People know how to send an e-wallet. So the literacy is very high. So you'll take it lightly when we say that. But if you go into other countries, there are still so many countries where people don't transact at all. Where people don't know that banks can actually accommodate you, or you can actually borrow money from a bank, right? There's so many countries which are there. But the greatest problem that we have in this country, that's why we might doubt the statistics, is because we fail to manage money well. That is where we are struggling. So we are even behind when we are compared to countries that have a lower rate of financial literacy. They manage money better. They become wealthier over time. We are literate, but we are becoming poorer over time, right? That is the challenge that we are facing. So we need to vary the two, literacy and general management, because management speaks about discipline. You can be so literate, but if you are not disciplined, you are not going anywhere.
Yeah, I like the way you put it. It's not literacy, it's management.
Yeah.
All right, so you talked about, I think in one of your videos, you talked about the very first step you have to take is, I think I wrote it somewhere in my book actually, and you said the very first step is start by keeping a positive balance sheet.
Yeah.
So walk us through that in terms of just how we start to just control the finance, because managing is very important.
Yeah.
Even just if you read a lot of these personal books, they'll say it's not how much you make, it's how much you keep and save and invest.
Yes.
So walk us through that.
Yeah. So balance sheet basically speaks of what you can keep, right? At any point in time when you look at your balance sheet, we are like, okay, today, how much are you worth? What do you have? If you were to die today, if you were to be liquidated today, is there something that will be left, right? That is what we are looking at. So you have an income statement and a balance sheet. So for an individual, it will be, you have a pay slip and then you have a balance sheet. So for the balance sheet to grow, there has to be something that comes from the income statement going to the balance sheet. Balance sheet doesn't grow by itself, right? You have to grow it from a source that earns money for you, right? So you earn your money. It could be a salary. It could be a rental that you collect, right? So depending on how much you spend from what you receive as income, if nothing remains to be put aside, you are not growing balance sheet. You remain poor.
So if you're not saving, or like if you can't have any money that you can take and say, this is the money I'm putting aside.
Yes.
You're not moving.
The balance sheet is not growing. You're not going anywhere. So you can earn as much money as you want, right? We know a lot of people who started earning 5,000 pula, they went to 10, they went to 30, 50, 100, 200, right? But they still don't have a balance sheet that they can speak of, right? Why? Because they consume everything in the income statement. You receive the top line is 100,000, the bottom line is 0. So the balance sheet is not growing, right? So what we always teach people is to say, look, it doesn't really matter how much money you are earning. If you are earning 1,000 pula, putting aside 100 pula, you are building your balance sheet. Somebody who's earning 10,000 pula more than you and not saving anything, they're not growing a balance sheet. And with a balance sheet, it's a thing of time. With time, we are going to know the truth.
So you're making time your friend, not your enemy.
Absolutely.
Because then the opposite is scary. The opposite is scary. I think it's actually something you're going to talk about soon. On how to retire well. But before we get to that, because I want to pack this here, you talked about figuring out how your worth. Can you break it down for people? How do you calculate? How do I calculate my net worth?
Yeah. So there are things that belong to you, there are things that don't belong to you, but they might be in your possession, right? So when you calculate your net worth, we look at all the things that you own that you can call yours, right? Your computer. You have a computer, you bought it 2 years ago. Right now, if you were to sell it for 10,000 pula. That is the value of that computer, right? You have 2,000 pula saved up in a bank. You have some clothes that you can sell. You believe that when you sell them, you can get 5,000 pula. So you have 10,000 pula worth of a computer, 2,000 at the bank, and then you have 5,000
so
pula.
17,000.
So that's 17,000 that you have. Maybe you have a piece of land back at home. maybe you say the value is 50,000. So 50,000 of that piece of land plus the 17,000. So you have 67,000, right? That is the assets that you own. And then you also owe some people some money.
Okay. So what I own is something that has to be convertible to cash, like something that can be rendered or sold.
It's something that can be rendered or sold. It could be also madia awa kolotwan.
Accounts receivable.
Right. So you've given somebody money, they owe you 5,000. That loan as your asset because it's money that you are expecting, right? And then you have some money that you owe people. Maybe you owe a friend 10,000 pula. Maybe when you bought the computer, maybe you bought it ka credit. So even though the value is 10,000 pula, you still owe the shop 5,000 pula. So tabo deduct the 10,000 pula of the computer and of owing people from the 67,000 that of the total value of your assets. Now your net worth becomes 57,000. That then becomes your net worth, right? But this is a very, very simple example. So let's give an example of someone, maybe a middle income earner, So these are people by longer you'll find they have a mortgage. Maybe mortgage you are thinking 1 million pula, right? It's a house that they stay in. The value is 1 million pula. They bought they got a loan 1 million pula. Maybe the value of the house 1.2 million pula over time it gains up value again. And then they have a car, a longer value I think 300,000 pula. But they owe the bank 250,000 pula, right? So now how calculate the asset it's 1.2 million, 1.2 is 300,000 wakolo yager. 1.5 million is the value of the assets, right? And then we deduct what they owe, which is 1 million pula ko banking, right? So we reduce those assets ka 1 million pula and then our 250,000 to a balance wa loan ya kolo yager. And then a personal loan. There's no asset attached to it. I was paving, I was doing this, I was taking the child to school and stuff like that. Personal loan ya 500,000 pula. Right? So that was 1.2 plus 300,000. So we are looking at 1.5. I can 1.5. And then to call 1 million and 250. What our 1.250. So what our 1.5 minus 1.250 resalaga 250K, right? And then you deduct 500,000 to our personal debt. So what is your net worth then?
It's negative.
It's negative 250K. So that is the situation that we find. That's sitting on negative. And negative most of the time is caused by that money that you borrowed and you did not use it to buy anything so long you can show on your balance sheet.
An asset.
Yeah. So it was consumables. You bought food, you bought clothes, maybe you took kids to school. It's very difficult to gauge that investment because maybe that's normally what people do. So you find a lot of them that are on negative net worth, right? So that's really how you calculate your net worth in a simple way. Maybe as the accounting on the side of business, it can be a bit sophisticated, but for most individuals, it's not complex. Minus everything that you owe, including the total, and then whatever balance is either positive or negative, that becomes your net worth.
Well articulated. Well articulated. For somebody who's in that situation, say it's negative 250, and they see, okay, step one is having, that balance sheet, so that you can be able to start putting money aside. What then becomes the second step moving forward, so that you kind of get yourself out of this, at least get to zero ground, and then try to move from zero going up.
Yeah. So two ways of getting out of financial trouble, right? One, you can cut down on your costs so that when you earn, you can save more, right? And then
that's the one that's painful, eh?
That's the one that is painful, right? And a lot of people struggle to do it. But I always advise people to try it first before we give them the second option, right? The second option is to improve your income.
To go up.
To go up.
But then it's harder, actually, I think it's harder than downgrading your lifestyle.
No, it's actually easier.
Really?
A lot of people find it easier to increase the income than to cut cost. Because remember, when you cut cost, you change your life.
Yeah.
You alter certain things. You don't eat ice cream like you
You
always eat ice cream. You don't go to your favorite restaurants.
TV, you
don't pay DSTV. Sometimes even internet. Similar to the hotspot. To download stuff. So it's very difficult. Because you have to alter a lot of things in your life. But when you have to increase your income, you might not need to cut any cost. So you don't adjust your life. It's just maybe working a bit harder. And I think a lot of Botswana, they actually are comfortable doing that. Why am I saying that? When you look at an average person in Botswana, they prefer so that they get promoted, they get a bonus. And so you see, it's that extra work that you are putting in because you want to increase your income.
Right.
Because more bottom lining, the balance sheet is not growing. So what people then do, so Botswana have been doing that for over the years. That's why they are so good at keeping jobs. But they're not growing.
That's true.
When it comes to wealth creation, right? So they work hard to increase the income, but as they increase the income, they also increase the costs.
Yeah.
So bottom line, so when you see them moving from a low cost BHC house to a middle cost or high cost, you think that no, financial, but they're not. Right? The income is growing, but the wealth is not growing at all. If anything, because remember, an asset that you buy, it comes with its own cost.
Yeah.
How we get salary 5,000, and then now you can afford to get a loan. Yeah, we do 5,000, and that loan buys a car. Right? The car is not just 5,000 that you pay the bank.
Yeah.
The car is a baby.
You
know, every now and then it starts to control your movements. Now you know, you are vulnerable to accidents and stuff like that. Because now you have to be seen rolling around town. You can't do that. I mean, it doesn't matter So you find that we acquire these things because we feel that the income has increased, therefore our lives have to improve. But in doing so, we find ourselves in more trouble than we were before we actually acquired those assets.
So we go deeper now. So then, this is just the psychology of money, I guess, and just our relationship with money.
Yeah.
So how does it come, like, you know, a pervading thing, like, you know, the majority of society,
Yeah.
mindset wa teng wa bo tswa ha kae le gore
It's mostly birthed from childhood. I mean, if you read my book, Masheleng, I was basically speaking about that, how we were raised and what we were taught. And we are actually doing a review, Masheleng. It will be out this month, the second edition.
Nice.
So what happens is, you know, your parents can give you 5 pula, you know, but nobody teaches you the value of that coin.
Yeah.
You know, they just give you the 5 pula, and then you learn how to spend. Right? That is the first thing that you learn.
So you learn how to spend.
Yeah, you learn how to spend.
And
whatever you learn, it sticks. It will take time to erase. Unless you something which is better than that. Right? So you learn how to spend. And then when you get to junior, senior, now the things that you want to acquire, they're a bit more expensive. You learn a new language. Now parents are starting to say, nah, you can't afford it.
Yeah.
It's too expensive, right? Because you don't know you are 5 pula school. Now you need a brand. You need a Nike, you need an Adidas, and those are in thousands, right?
True.
Now parents are saying we can't afford it, and you don't understand, right? So Dirayang, you are going to work harder to get to tertiary because you've been told, no, they're going to pay you.
Yeah.
Right? So people pass because they don't want to pass. No, they pass because they want to get to
That's
the
very
mine,
true.
right? So
Very
you are
true.
chasing, right?
Yeah.
So you go to tertiary, you start.
It's incentivizing. It's truly incentivizing.
It is,
Yeah.
So you get there, now the money is coming, it's your money, right? Wa amogela at the end of the month. And then ono amogela, ono batela to spend on what you want to spend on without any limitations. I get it. So, and then from there, from tertiary, you feel like now how bereka ke gone wa simola go plan, but that is the wrong way of looking at it. The problems that you have are the habits that you adopted. It's not the money that you are earning.
Yes, sir.
The problem are the habits. So because gona le madi a wa nyatsang, o feel gore gona le madi a ileng gore a to dira botshelo ba go botoka, it will never happen until you change the habits.
More money does not solve money problems.
It doesn't at all. It makes them worse.
Yeah.
It makes them worse. Kore ke mo go teng, you are not crying in a Vitz, you are crying in a Range Rover, but you are crying.
Yeah.
So and at the end of the day, how se tsole go godimo, if you lose income, chances of you committing suicide and other things that are way higher than if you lose income earning 3,000.
True.
You see, because wa botswa go godimo timano ka go tshwana la hana re equate income to a flat.
Yeah.
Motho o tswa mo first floor ha ka itira o ka nna wa ka maoto a ba wela sen, right? But ga o wa lo ko 10th floor, re sure gore wa go robega maoto if you are fortunate. But otherwise you are going to die.
Yeah.
So it's the same thing. So problem where na le yone is the habits that we have gained growing up, right? The kids by longore when they were young, they were taught how to save money. O bona bana ba go tsheng ke basadi ba golo bontsi ja bone. Basadi ba golo ke batho ba ileng gore ne re hangwe batsadi ba go ba go hile madi a be ba re wa tise go bona. You see,
true.
Then they will get the money from you or ba go a bear, and then ba go raba nya ha o bata sengwe ngwana ka tshotso and nako ha o ya go mmolela go re go tshwaretse madi. But every time you go and collect the money, you have to explain a story.
And you have to come with the things that
a perfect story, right? Yeah. You don't realize what by doing so, you are actually learning a good habit.
Right.
Because the story is where while you are on your way to your grandma to tell her, no, ke bata 50 pula from that money, you are coming up with the story. The story doesn't you are becoming intelligent financially. By the time now what you receive a madi, you also want to make sure but matric I think 100%. You are going to do maybe 70% good and 30% bad, because being a child, you are always going to be naughty there and there, but it's the habits that is the problem that we have in this country. So it starts when people ask me, why don't you teach kids? Because bona ba sentse ba le banyenyane o tswe mo bagolong ka re bagolo se ba omeletse le ba bangwe bagolo ha ke ba ruta ba nthaya le gore no kind of for us it's too late, and I always tell them this: you are the ones who are raising those kids. So if I leave you out and teach your kids don't learn from listening to their parents.
They model.
Yeah, they model. So na ke to ruta ngwana ga gore madi a dirisiwa yang. And then ena ba go bona kgwedi hela o bua gore no sentse gore o ije di 3,000 tso tshela o tso reka sengwe le sengwe. They're going to believe the parent. And then le ka mosola ha ba tile go classing yame ba to filela gore no do zo di rutang ka dina mosola because the heroes are the parents. So we start with the parents to say, look, these are the models that you need to teach your kids. This is the behavior e leng gore tshwantse gore we supe ha pele ga bana ba gago. That is the only time bana ba ka kgona gore ba ithute, right? A lot of kids ba e leng gore they are very good at saving money. They learned while they were young. They learned from the parents. The parents were always talking about saving. The parents saved a lot, and they were talking about the importance of saving and stuff like that. You might think the kids are not hearing. But I built that house cash. Ne ke save jana le jana ke tsere lobaka, but ke heletse ke kgonela itse bo ngwana ke gore ha ke bere ke tiro e leng gore ya amogedisa madi a mantsi. Mme la bona batho ba e leng gore ba bereka ditiro tse di tona la bona gore ga bana mato ga bana eng, those kids ba go gola ba idolize motsadi le bona they are going to follow the same principles. If they are fortunate, then they can meet us, and then we teach them the next level. True. Which is wealth creation and generational wealth accumulation.
So what I'm getting from you, which is very clear, is there is no wealth creation without financial discipline. So how do we strengthen this muscle, financial discipline? Amid the pressures, family, friends, co-workers, all this, how do we strengthen this muscle?
It's tough, bro. it's tough because it takes a village to raise a child.
Very
So you find that there are so many teachers in your life. It's not just your parents. You have your uncle who drives a flashy car, who only comes month end, and you think they're so powerful because every time when they come, they buy stuff. But you don't see them mid-month when they're broke. Because
when they're not even using that car,
when they're not even using that car. You see, these are things we see them whether deliberately or not, but they are. And then we have friends by Longora, maybe their parents just love to buy, things for them, And how but we're not a sell or no. My friend, or regular Nike, or regular this, or regular that, right? Those are things that void in you. When I gonna do it on the bone about your friend, this and that and that. So how's it and you are trying to unlearn what you have learned? It's very difficult, right? So I always tell people, when you consider your subconscious mind, because most of the things that you are going to do in your life are in your subconscious. Recorded, because our eyes are like a camera. They don't care whether you are looking at that computer. They have seen everything and everyone here. So it's there in your subconscious. Sometimes you act out of character, but these are things that are in you. Right? So you can't delete those things. You can suppress them so that you create another set of information within your subconscious that is going to overpower what is already there, right? And the only way to do that is through education. You need to continually educate yourself. You see how we give people content. We are always giving people a lot of content, right? And a lot of people will tell you, some of our clients will call after some years and they'll say, I've been following you since 2017, and now things are starting to make sense. Imagine, from 2017, we've been giving you content, right? But now you are saying things are starting to make sense, right? Because the content has been coming in. And the reason why you haven't been changing over the years is because content there at saying about hitere kona le chanka hela e kana ya rubbish. Wa bana e leng gore ke yone reng ha o re wa akanya. A be tlhaloganyo thepa mo teng a be bula file a teng ka bona kwa be re no tsena mo shopong go reke o itakisa akere e nna e go raya lo nna e go raya. But the more one ntse tsenga content ya gore no, save money, put some money aside, invest some money. There's insurance, there's this content ha nna ntse tsena khantelanyana o ithele gore now it's equal. You'll find gore it's equal when now I give you money, you have to go and spend, and there's a conflict. In your brain. You're like, hey, ke go reka this thing, mara ka mosuketa be ke tshwanne ba bana anga tswela majita Monday ke tshwantse gore ke go riana. You see go simola go na le conflict, right? And then you keep on piling and piling. After that there's no conflict because now the scale is like this. Now o simola go thepa thata on the other side e leng gore it's good financial management than yengwe. It's not like high but yete. But you need to continue educating yourself until you die, because the moment you stop because there are so many people who have tried, they try to be disciplined for a year or two and then they go back. Why? Because file is strong and right? Is the only thing you can do, right? Formula. I don't teach anyone any formula. How if I want to save, say 50, 30, 20% rule, I don't work with those formulas because I'm the formula.
And it's different for everyone, eh?
And it's different for everyone. What you need is discipline. And you keep on learning and learning and learning and learning and learning and learning. The discipline normally will come with time. I guess always talk about motoru tegile tata. In comparison to motho eleng gore ga isa tsene sekolo go thelele, the discipline is different. Not just momadi, right? Motho eleng gore ga tsena sekolo go thelele go motho gore o ka tsa thipa batha ba motho a se ikgalemele. You see, motho o rutegileng ga akanya go tsa thipa, there's so many things that they have learned about good behavior, ethical things, moral things and stuff like that. Go na le conflict there aba le mo gore you know what, probably going to be in jail. I don't need that. I'll be in trouble. You start thinking about those
many
things.
More
right?
scenarios than that one.
Yeah, that's what education does to you. And education is not a degree. I want people to understand that very well. right? The things that I know, I don't know them because I have a finance degree. No, I know these things because I continually learn.
Self-learning.
Right now, when you look at finance, things are changing drastically every day. Tomorrow you think you understand this. Tomorrow there's a new crypto coming in. There are new payment platforms. Everything is changing every day. So there's no one who can tell me, no, I've known those things a long time ago. I'm still applying that. No, things have changed, right? That's why a lot of people are getting scammed because go na le batho ba sentse mbare nna I get change ke ntse yana ke batla go nna ke ntse ke tswella ke ntse yana wa bona when things are changing. So you are still maloba ha go discontinue the checkbook go di banking, right? That people ka date ya bo hello go discontinue checkbook. There were still people who were arguing that change.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
But batho ba teng ba utswelwa madi ke bana because I've been in banking, I've seen horrible stories where your kids have your checkbook and they have mastered your signature. And ba lemogile gore motho e leng gore ba madi, but because ga o bate bo di online go bidwa go teng di alert.
Yeah.
Because whenever you are old school,
Yeah.
right? Ba relaxitse hela ba itse gore no ha ba cashitse ga gona alert e tsena go wena ba nna lentse ba kwala di check. So now how do you ntse di developer and you are refusing to change? You are only killing yourself. So education is key when it comes to helping us to at least gain some form of discipline.
Mr. Ratshosa, we're talking about finances, and we talked about the point where you talked about the habits. Man makes the habits make the man. So my question for you is, what are some of those habits that we can adopt? Maybe from people like, I've heard you talk about the Jews. What are some of those habits you can adopt from people, wealthy people? I get what trying to build wealth here. What are some of those habits of using our money, investing, and all these things that we can adopt to kind of also put us on the right track and speed us through our financial journey to where we need to go?
Yeah. I've always believed that one of the greatest challenges that we have is how we have framed our lifestyles.
Right.
You see, I can teach you about money. You can learn about money. You don't change your lifestyle, it still becomes difficult. So when you look at this other communities like your Jews and stuff, those guys are very deliberate about how they live their lives. From the time go tsena sekolo ha ba simolla go bereka, kore ditsela tsa bone hela tsa go tshela, from work it's your family, you go home, from home is the business. So where do you get to splash money? The environment, the lifestyle, right? When you look at our people, right? You go to work in the morning. From work, you visit a friend. From a friend, maybe you go to a restaurant, you go to the mall, and then from there you go home. So when you look at the daily routine, you can easily spend $1,000.
Yeah.
If you can actually afford that, right? Or you can spend 100, depending on your level, right? Because of how you move. And then ka weekend day, it's somebody calling you for a braai that you did not plan for. So you have to go there. And how we let the drinking and the few dito short or khalwa. So how similar khala but you did not plan for this, right? But these are people by long when you look at them, they're just living normal lives. It's a normal life, right? And then or maybe every other fortnight, you are high. You are going home. The thinking, we love our parents so much, we have to check on them. But in the we just don't have discipline, right? You don't need to be checking on your parents every other 2 weeks, right? Look about 300, 400 kilometers away because it's a lot of money that you are spending. We don't have good habits. Tse ileng gore re ka di sala morago tse di ka re thusang gore re iphitlhelele gore ga re a tshamekisa madi, right? So when you start, adjusting your life to a certain routine that helps you to grow, right? Let's say maybe your plan, you want to be the best podcaster,
of course,
in Africa in the world, right?
In the world,
yeah. Then what you do then, you have to study other podcasters. It has to be your obsession. So, bu Friday, when you are busy watching a podcast somewhere, you have to be sober. You are going to be home. If there's anything that you are going to spend on, maybe it can be food, snacker, while you are looking at that. I get. And then you are going to be studying equipment. You are going to, all of these things are going to consume you. You see, that consumption era or now, instead of being out and spending, we spoke about a verpark until we think we are growing when we are actually going back, right? Right? Real growth, personal development. That is the growth that pays. Right? So if we can obsess on personal development, because when there are so many things, so many ways, discipline. Now, I know I spend. Right? I get a good shop I've got plenty kids, so I get a good shop right? So how do I fight all of these urges, right? I make sure there's something that actually consumes a lot of my time. Right? And that thing would be reading. It would be trying to study things and look at YouTube videos and stuff like that, right? So my routine is very simple.
So it's productive consumption.
It's productive consumption, right? So by the time I'm done with those things, I really want to go home. I really want to go home. Because I'm probably going to come out you know, right? So and then the weekends most of them are you know, we have scheduled meetings, we have scheduled trainings, we have scheduled workshops and stuff like that, right? So it's like that. You look at the Jews, because they're trained to take over the parents' businesses and stuff like that when they're still very young, right? So by the time a teenager, they already know you go to school. From school you go to the business. From the business you go home. They have mastered the routine. So this becomes their life, right? So making money is not something that is going to alter how they move. It only improves the things that they already have, right? Their education, it improves their homes, right? It improves their businesses. That is where money is going. And then when you look at our money, where does it go? Motho taba la tsene sekolo hela berekile and then ba khona gore a bone tiro eleng gore e mo duela madi ha tswa ho ga improve tsone duo tse eleng gore they got him to the money so that the money can grow. They start improving things tse eleng gore ga di se tsone tse di ba tsenyetsang madi. You see, that is the biggest problem that we are facing. We are not focused generally. I mean, what's my mo di shopong abo lebella this other nationals ga ba tsamaya bana le di family tsa bone gongwe monna le mosadi ba tsamaya ba tshwaragane ka matsogwana mo di mmolong, right? Look at them ha letalele ba gane. They're not looking at you. Maybe they can oto bona matwarta and then ba leba kwa ba go heta, right? Ha ba sona ba heta 10 abo ba leba. Hoping what they will turn back. They won't. They're going straight to their car. They're going straight home. You know what you do? Momolo. You know, wale mo mo ha heta o motho mile mato ha sona heta ko wena yo gape o thana le ene o ithala ya go tsama. You are not focused. Right? Gantsi ha o dira yalo o supa gone gore ha o ka kopana le mongwe ba go ra re what are you doing? O to mora gore no I cannot play. A re tsore go ke, right? You can't keep money. If you do that, you can't keep money, you can't grow, right? But they've got routines. I mean, to get access to a billionaire, it's not easy. Because they have a program. Banale plan okay, calendar is strict. When they find they're not meeting anyone or they're not doing anything hectic, but it could be time for their studies. That's what can go free, right? But how ka bona mongwe le mongwe le access to you, you have a big problem. Money is not a thing that you can really keep. Money will keep on moving. Because when people come to you, every time when motho a go kopa seng, When you say yes, you know what you just did? You have transferred their problems to you. Now they can relax. Now the planning comes to you.
Yeah.
You have to fuel your car. Now it's your problem. For another 30 minutes because why it's in the next 30 minutes. Every time when you say yes to a request, so we need to be careful about the number of yeses that we say, right? If the yes is not something that builds you, something that helps you to grow, then it becomes a big problem. You can't keep money. Because they are broke. I mean, you look at a lot of people who are broke, and I've seen a lot of people who are broke by Longore. They're just good people. They're not reckless. And reckless raya in terms of right? But how are they losing their money? They're always saying yes. You have a family of 7 and you are the only one who's always doing that. Why right? You are always saying yes. Right? You are losing money and you are losing time. You are losing the most 2 precious assets in your life because you are saying yes, thinking you are being a good person.
So you're saying yes to them and saying no to yourself.
And saying
no
your
to yourself. Financial journey.
Yeah. So you're absorbing everyone's problems. When El Shaddai. When you say you are El Shaddai, you shall die.
It's a good one.
Yeah.
It's a good one. You see what you have said here. I think for me, this has been the most eye-opening. Literally what you said in this moment. The lifestyle. Because it just makes so much sense. Like I don't know if I'm still kind of going through it in my mind. Because as you are talking about it, I'm listening to you and I'm saying money is a terrible master but a great servant.
Yeah.
And it's just the way you deal with these things. And the other thing is also that money is literally a reflection of who we are.
Yeah.
How we have it, and if having it and the lack of it is a direct reflection of who we are.
Yeah.
But then I wanted us to come to you said something during the break. That's why you should be here. Retirement is not pension. Retirement planning is not pension.
Yeah.
Please unpack that for us.
Yes. So a lot of people feel when we talk about retirement planning, we are talking about having a pension. A pension is just a form of investment that you can invest in. It's not a must. You don't need to have a pension to retire well. It's just an investment. An insurance company, we have this product. You can actually put in 200 pula, 500 pula every month. After 25 years, then you can draw your money with a bit of interest, right? Pension is also like that. It's just an investment. It's controlled by markets. Sometimes markets perform well. Sometimes they don't perform well. Right? It has happened in 2008 when I was studying work. And I was working in pensions. So the moment the moment I entered the industry, I found that people were retiring and I was supposed to advise them. And the money was not there, right? So for me, it was a very, very difficult, but it was a good learning for me starting out, right? Because I had to learn quickly. Right? How does somebody save for 40 years and then all of a sudden, it's not like it was dry. Hey, so you would have found that somebody had received their statement some 2 years back and it had 4 million in it. And then they put out a letter or by retire in the next 2 years. And then 2 years later, they receive a statement. Now, retire. Now you are sitting on 2 million.
Hey, the adjustment is crazy.
See, the adjustment is crazy, you know. But Baba, they were forced to extend their terms. But Baba, they were at the
very end.
End. So you can't extend. You just need to go and get that money and see what to do with it, right? So it was very difficult. So pension is just a product you can have as one of your plans for retirement, right? So they don't work like pensionable. I don't know why we are using this. We should stop using it, right? People, because what about the permanent and pensionable,
PP.
PP. It's like it's a thing. It's like it's a law, but it's not, right? Ke go hela mo ileng gore batho ba hiri ne ba lebeletse gore nyame ha ke hira motho a le permanent nka mo tsenya mo pensioning, and then abogote ba ba sem permanent ba on contract, they will receive the severances, the gratuities and stuff, right? But the severance and the gratuity, it speaks to retirement planning leon. Let's say ga tino re gona la bokana so that you plan for your retirement or something like that. But retirement planning really, it speaks of what you are going to do or how you are going to live. Once now when you are not gainfully employed. I get it. So motho mo khona gore na mmeki ikagele 2.5 it's in rente ka mora gwantu so that like retire le gona rente e tsenang e ka nthekela dijo. I get it. Motho mo khona gore okay no na budget time mo kgweding ke 10,000 ke reka dijo za 2,000 abe ke the utility go ngabe ke spend another 2,000 or that's 4,000 and then I need at least 2,000 for entertainment 6,000 and then maybe another 4,000 o setseng ke gona go duela insurance ke duela my medical aid and then ke gona gore ke tshele petrol, right? That is me. That is how I live my life. I get it. And then motho a teng about, but how do I get to 10,000 a month ke sa bereke? But okay, hanka ha 2.5 every other 5 years I receive my graduate. In 20 years time, abeke can do 2.5, it's a 4. It's 2.5 each. You've done your retirement planning
beautifully.
Yeah, so you are going to receive the 10,000 again. Kgwedi le kgwedi bile wena ya gago can be a lot more guaranteed than someone where the money is sitting in stocks and things like that. You cannot have one sabon or ditsamas and then retire. But those things you drop, you are not getting 10,000, you are getting 5,000. It's a huge adjustment. But at that time now you don't have the opportunity. Right? So when we say plan for retirement, it's very critical. Are the skills. Because one of the things it gives people sleepless nights when it comes to retirement. What am I going to be doing after retirement, right? The only skill that you know is to be an administrator.
What you have been doing
for 40 years. You're given piles of papers and then you're doing this. But to retire, you won't be doing administration, right? What am I going to be doing, right? Those skills. So sometimes when you plan for your retirement, you need to then say, how am I going to live after this? I need to learn a skill. Maybe I need to learn how to speak. So that because I'm very knowledgeable in this and this and this and this, right? But I need to learn how to speak so that I can monetize the skill that I have, right? I need to learn a trade like maybe swimming so that I can teach people how to swim. I need to learn this. So you are going to spend your time planning your retirement by gaining a skill. So you use more money to acquire that skill so that you can live, right? And I always encourage people to balance investing and earning skills because skills are very important, right? Now I don't believe
they have utility.
Exactly. Now I don't believe I can go hungry. I don't believe I can go hungry, because I've learned so many skills that without Ignytwealth, without a business right now, I can guarantee you I'll wake up tomorrow, I'll make 500 pool.
I think that's the greatest. That's the greatest thing to fall back at. Like it's the greatest thing to fall back at because if all fails, still
there's something that can pay your bills. The
other thing is about writing a will. I think this is something especially Rona, maybe really Botswana, we're not very, very good at. And I've heard you talk about this and I wanted you to touch on it in terms of writing a will and the importance of it at any age.
So a will, maybe we just need to understand it like this. A will is an instruction. You're just saying, my will is for this to happen. You know, I want my children to continue living like this. I want my parents to continue living like this. I want my things not to go to that person, but to that person and to that person, right? It's being in control when you are not present. Because the moment you die, there's nothing that can be changed. The Bible says that we are given an opportunity to gain wisdom and understanding and anything that we want to change while we are still alive. The moment you die and be buried, nothing is going to change. So the only thing that can ensure how you can rule, even when you are down there, it's a will. Because you have an opportunity to do that while you are alive. Right? Without a will, things are going to happen just. And more often than not, right? A will, you don't do a will because you have children. You don't do a will because you are rich. You do a will because there's something that you tried to build. And there are people who are looking at those things and saying, when he dies, when she dies, we are getting that, right? That is why we write wills. If you don't, your aunt is the last person because people come up with stories or no, right? That's why we do a will. We want to make sure that things happen according to how we want them to happen. That's really what a will does. So rich people have mastered the art of wealth or estate planning. Call it estate planning. Once I go, what needs to happen? What happens to my business? What happens to my children? What happens to all my dependents? It could be my parents, it could be my brothers, my siblings, or anyone who's dependent on me. What happens to them, right? And they are so advanced when it comes to will creation that you can find a book this size, so thick, 600 pages of content of how the estate
the
is
Rockefellers, the Vanderbilts.
Yes.
Those people.
Yes. Because when you write a will, it's like you are writing a composition. It's not a thing of my child gets 20%, my mother gets 20%. You know how people like to say it. It's not that easy. You know, it's like a composition. You sit and you talk about it. You know, I was thinking, you know, I don't want my son to access these things while he's still young. I want him to go to school. I want him to get a degree first before he can get this, you know. But for this one, I want him to get married. You know, whoever's going to run the business, o run business ya gagwe, no matter how small, and as from this point to that point. You know, you say it like that, and then the lawyer knows how to draft it. Right? It's not a thing of saying 2020, because I always tell people I have 5 kids. All of these kids are different. I mean, you know, they behave differently. So, you know, one of your kids could be more responsible than others. So, if you are going to give them equal shares, because what is going to happen, the one who is less responsible is going to squander. After squandering, they become the burden of who? The ones who are responsible, right? So that becomes a problem. So a will is something that is very critical and important. You do it, you do it usanyala. Like people are cohabiting.
They're co-parenting.
Yeah, people are cohabiting, people are parenting, you know. And I cohabit we tell also a fridge, but also release. So I get that is your people. And it's so unfortunate that you find a lot of I get maybe do their change, but in most cases you find a guy will have a lease and then the girlfriend will move in And then the guy had no finish. Plastic. The girl came, abaraka couch, araka meta, kabisa, and then the guy dies. Yeah. The family comes. They take the girlfriend out. She has no rights into that home. Lisika ngwanabo ene eno sontso ra a tswe bile ba tsa finisher ba isa ko gae ha sentsantsanga ka ha finisher bile ya khawa ngwa malome o tsere stilo o mo tsere TV. That's exactly what happens, right?
Yeah.
But with a will, normally lawyer ya ta ya bua gore gona le will once go te motho to ka heads again. And then pito ya dirwa because pito sontso diragala ka bonako I get takes a week or so. Pito ya dirwa after pito it's will ready. Will it be ba lo gore no all my furniture goes to my girlfriend, mama. I get all my money goes to my mother. This goes to my child. I get this goes there, right? So you need a lawyer to do all of these things because if it's not legal, the terms that you have set, they can be disputed to court. Yeah.
Thank you guys for watching this episode. We really hope you enjoyed it and learned something new. Deep Dive is dedicated to bringing you the most comprehensive and engaging information about business, personal finance, and personal development. Make sure to hit that subscribe button to stay updated with all our latest content. If you liked this video, give it a like to show your support and help us reach a wider audience. And don't forget to share this video with your friends and your family who may be interested. Sharing helps us grow our community and connect with like-minded individuals. Leave a comment below and give us your biggest takeaway on this episode. If you're interested in being a part of our live studio audiences, make sure to register for the next show. Can't make it to the show? No problem. Check out our Patreon page to watch the full episode and get exclusive access to more great content. Thank you for watching, and I'll see you in the next episode of The Deep Dive.